Put it on the poll, please, Juju, at LeBatardShow. Is anyone in America someone who has a higher Q rating than Dolly Parton? Because it is impossible these days to get maximum popularity, consensus, love. But at 77 years old, she stole Thanksgiving Day by having the confidence to wear a Dallas Cowboys cheerleader outfit at an age, I'm guessing, when most 77-year-olds wouldn't have the confidence or the ability to pull that off. Not a lot of people 40 years and 50 years younger than her can pull that particular look off, but she stole Thanksgiving, where even Jerry Jones was saying on Thanksgiving Day, and he gets carried away, he said that victory on Thanksgiving Day felt as good to him as all of the Super Bowls, because
liar!
I'm guessing he got into the Johnny Walker Blue, and it just it felt emotional and good to beat up the rival Washington team that way.
Jack Del Rio.
And some people have complained about Jake Tapper coming on here and saying that Jalen Hurts is the best quarterback in the NFL. They've complained about me saying that Dak Prescott has been better this year, but he has been better this year. Statistically, it's not.
He's also 0-1 against Jalen Hurts.
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, Jalen Hurts was incredible yesterday. I think the offense.
But he wasn't even the best quarterback on the field yesterday.
I mean, he was the winning quarterback on the field
Okay,
yesterday.
but is that how we're going to do it?
I mean, Danny played well.
I'm
Josh
not
Allen.
saying, I'm not saying he didn't
That was a
play
bad
well.
pick.
It was a bad pick.
Yeah. Jalen Hurts won the game.
Jalen had a fumble in his own end.
Yeah, Josh Allen never won an overtime game, despite them changing the rules for him.
Regardless, I began talking about Dolly Parton and the way that she stole.
She's having a moment.
If I may.
But it's been 50 years.
It was great to see. And even though Dallas and that organization had the opportunity to do something that everybody's been clamoring for since it goes viral every year, you got to give Creed another shot at the halftime show for Thanksgiving. Wow. I'm issuing a challenge right now to Jerry Jones. Please, dear God, run it back. But Dolly Parton was fine, and I selling a lot of merch. From that halftime performance, people are going crazy for the Dolly stuff. If I may say, it was just a little, like, I understand the age, but hanging on to the star the entire time. It was just.
What are you doing?
I understand, but just hanging on to the star the entire time. If you watch, like I was watching, she was holding on to that star the way that I would hold on to the side of a boat if it were going in choppy waters a little bit. Mm-hmm. Terrible scene in the house if you were behind the stage. The star just totally engulfed her. It's just. Why wasn't she on the star?
Why are you?
She was just hanging around the star, and that platform didn't look like there was a lot of space for her to move. It was very dangerous. Why put Dolly in that predicament?
Did you see the predicament that Ludacris was in? Like, what do you mean? We're in the entertainment business.
He's younger, though. I mean,
it just felt a lot more dangerous what Dolly was doing than what Ludacris was doing.
No, that can't be so. What you're saying, a 77-year-old holding on to a star cannot be as dangerous as a rapper descending from the rooftop. That's not that. What you're saying is not in any way true.
With Dolly, I'll admit it. I said it.
You didn't say it though.
Said what? I said it in my living room. Same thing everyone else said.
Yep. I know what you meant.
Yep. Mm-hmm. And I meant it.
But you can't say there I said it on something that you haven't actually said.
Everyone knows.
Yeah, I agreed. But you can't say there I said it when you haven't actually said it.
You guys know.
I do know.
What was that face? Can we zoom in on Chris's face there?
I'm not a good winker.
That
Never been a good
wink.
winker.
That was not a confident wink.
Winking is a tricky game.
It
I'm
is
with you.
not a tricky game.
No, it is.
What's the trick? It's a wink or a blink.
I can't do like my right. I can't wink my right eye without the left one also going down.
That's a blink.
I'm better with the left though.
So you're a good blinker.
Can I see?
We should put it on the poll. Did you say it? Because I did.
Well, in regards to Dolly Parton, you didn't say it. You didn't say anything. You just said there I said it without having actually said it.
Dano.
There you go.
So you didn't say it, and then you blinked at me. You didn't wink at me because you're not coordinated enough to wink. You closed both eyes at the same time, and
finger guns now.
And you saw all 6 of the quarterbacks on Tony's all-squint team. Speaking of dangerous predicaments, someone writes in, Stugotz, the thing I hate the most about Dan getting on his soapbox about the meat grinder and machine of the NFL is when he acts like the players are some kind of victim. Besides the fact that they are compensated handsomely for the risks they take for playing a violent game for a living, the players participate by choice. They're willing participants in the machine. Not a single one of them are oblivious to the business or the dangers of the NFL.
He's that guy.
Drew Brees can't throw with his right arm.
That's sad, man.
You think he knew that? You think he knew that
Before he started
You
playing?
think he knew that was one of the possibilities? I know we think they're not oblivious to the dangers of the game, but I think if you ask retired players what they thought they were going to feel when the game was over,
Right.
Drew Brees wouldn't have told you, I don't think I'm going to be able to throw passes to my kids right-handed anymore because I've had so many surgeries on my shoulder.
But if you told Breeze when he was coming out of Purdue that he would play until he was 40 and throw that many passes, don't you think he would probably know, like, hey, this is going to hurt, right?
I don't know, Stugotz, whether they can factor in at 20 the pain they're feeling at 45. I think the answers to some of these questions are different whether you're sidling up to a player when he's 65 years old and already cannot do some of the things that Dolly Parton can do because of what the game does to them. I do believe that we are more informed now than we've ever been about what the risks are, but I believe there are a whole lot of players limping around the world right now who played on turf a lot worse than the one that the New York Jets play on, who didn't know what they were signing up for.
The craziest part about him sharing that story was the arthritis is settled in from the injury that he had when he was playing for the San Diego Chargers. If you recall, he was a totally different quarterback before that injury, and he became, for a brief moment in time before Brady took the record back because they were playing patty cake with it for a little bit, the most prolific passer, despite having an injury that right now causes him to throw lefty when he's having turkey bowl with his kids.
You think, Stugotz, that most quarterbacks throwing footballs right now think to themselves, in my 40s, I will not be able to throw with my throwing arm? You think that's what
Well, I don't know if they're all thinking it. Everyone's body is different. But, yeah, I think if they're thinking to themselves, hey, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, I'm going to play until I'm 40, 41, 42, 43, there's a possibility my shoulder is going to feel really bad when it's all said and done, of course. But quarterbacks are playing longer now, Dan. They're throwing the ball more than they used to.
But only one has performed at a high level once they get to that tipping point age. It's Tom Brady. They all have a huge decline. We haven't seen it with Aaron Rodgers, though I could say that you can lump in an Achilles giving out. You can lump that into a body aging. It's just we got too accustomed to seeing Brady and Breeze starting for their teams at unprecedented ages that we thought that this was the new NFL. So far, the only person to be that age and perform at the high level was the greatest quarterback of all time in Tom Brady.
Did Alex Smith win over a nation yesterday by completely taking down Tom Brady?
He's great. Alex Smith is great at television. He is.
He also, by the way, took down everyone else on set at the same time because it's a set full of Patriots and Jets, and he's like, Tom Brady,
I was
not
going to
a
say,
very good division.
I didn't see what he said.
He came out and he said basically Tom Brady, zip it up. The only reason that you're even good this long is because you were in the most uncompetitive division in the history of football.
Right. And he said they made these rules for you.
Somehow the Dolphins catch a stray there.
The thing that Alex Smith was objecting to is Tom Brady saying the league is mediocre now when he's not that far removed from playing in the league the way that it looks exactly right now. So if it is mediocre now, it was also mediocre while Tom Brady was playing in it. But the thing that Tom Brady is giving voice to is the thing that we're talking about with risk when he says it's not as great as it used to be because you can't hit the way that you used to be able to hit. He is doing the thing that a lot of players do and a lot of people in their living room do when they say, you've made it flag football. It is not flag football. I can see what I'm watching out there on Sundays, and you can think to yourself on your couch in the safety of your living room that is not that violent out there. But what I am watching, the pace and the speed with which people are running into each other, I have this thought all the time, Stugotz. Like, the idea of running around with helmets and colliding into people in something that requires helmets. The matadors don't have helmets in bullfighting. Like that, the idea of launching yourself into somebody and having to wear protective headgear that you would wear when riding a motorcycle.
Right.
Like,
But the game is safer, Dan, especially for that position. But it's safer because of Tom Brady. Those rules were made so guys like Brady could play into their 40s and win a Super Bowl.
I'm not actually sure, though, how much safer it is, even with the rules, if I'm adding 50 pounds of weight to everybody and they're moving faster, a lot faster. Go watch. I saw this. This was on the television in the gym here the other day. The first Patriots-Tom Brady Super Bowl against the Rams. The Rams were allegedly a very fast team. And I'm watching that, and I'm like, no one on this field is fast. This does not look fast compared to what I'm watching today. That was 20 years ago, and I'm watching an old game, and that's the greatest show on turf. And I'm like, this doesn't look as fast as today's game.
I refuse to believe that Isaac Bruce wasn't fast. I'm sorry.
He wasn't the fastest player on that team.
Torrey Holt?
Marshall Faulk
What?
and Torrey Holt were faster.
How's Akeem on that team?
Oh, my God.
But it wasn't that fast is what I'm telling you. I'm watching it. And
The Steelers today are faster?
20 years ago.
Blocky pads. I mean, Kurt Warner's got loose sleeves.
How fast do you think Teddy Bruschi really was? You go ahead and tell me.
Not Fred Warner fast, I'll tell you that.
No, I'm telling you, you can't see it. It's not obviously discernible, but the people that were playing 20 years ago, it might as well have been the 1940s.
Does anyone care about the Ohtani thing?
Did you see that they said that, like, if it was made public that you were courting him or he was meeting with you, that he'd hold it against your team? So, like, everything's, like, very tight-lipped around it.
Ooh.
Yeah.
So they're all mystery teams.
30 mystery teams.
Oh, I can get in on this. I mean, he's a megastar, but he's not going to be able to pitch next year, right?
I have a fun game to play for this because he is a megastar. I completely agree. What jersey number does he wear?
Which I don't know what jersey number he wears right now, even though I just conceded
saying,
he's a megastar.
And I'm not saying that's
I
the
think he's
I could.
17, right?
He is 17, but it was one of those things where the other day I was
could've
thinking, I'm
given
like,
me
I was
98
talking
guesses.
to somebody about what a star he is, and they were like, "What jersey number does he wear?" I was like, "Shit."
I would say like 51. I don't know, random number.
I remember when that was, like, the most important thing in my life.
Yeah, jersey
was
numbers.
knowing jersey numbers of players. Oh, what a simpler time.
Oh, Sheffield 10. I have a much better shot at naming the 90s jersey numbers.
I think Pat Rapp was 48.
How do you know that?
Trout is 27.
That we know, yes.
I know that.
MJ, 23.
What are the things in sports fandom that go first with age? Is it because
The name of the starting LSU quarterback?
no, the Utah Jazz coach would be somebody that I would misplace before the LSU starting quarterback.
There is no shot Stugotz knows his name.
Quinn Snyder?
Billy nailed Pat Rapp, by the way.
It's so sad that I purged so much more useful stuff out of my memory, but not that for some reason.
I know Benito Santiago because of you.
Oh, 09.
Yeah,
Come on, everybody
because
knows that.
he needs a strap to go in between the numbers.
Childhood numbers you're going to remember, but uniform numbers, stadium names, ballpark names, that one has changed because of sponsorship and naming rights stuff.
People are stubborn with that. It's like it'll always be this to me. That's the era we're in now.
I love stadium names, though.
It'll always be
I'm a
Joe
huge
Robbie.
fan of stadium names.
What does that mean?
It'll always be the FTX Arena.
What does that mean? You're a huge fan of
I'm a
stadium
huge fan of
names?
stadium
You
names.
just like that they have names?
No, I like being like, oh, the Golden One Center. Where do they play? Who plays in the Golden One Center? Sacramento Kings, light the beam, baby.
Is that still a thing this year, the beam? Are they still lighting it?
Where do the Pelicans
Does
play?
anyone know?
I
It's
don't
Willie King
think
Center.
It's still a thing,
The
yes.
FTX is not a thing anymore. They that giant FTX that they put on top of the Miami Heat's arena that we thought was too heavy to ever get off of there. They evidently quietly got it off of there at some point. I don't know if it was when Sam Bankman-Fried was on trial.
How do you do that quietly, though?
I don't know whether they did it in the middle of the night.
Is it Fried or Freed?
Freed? I'm sorry. It's
Oh, he's
spelled
fried
Fried.
either way.
Yes, it's fried.
Yeah.
I call him
Greg Colbran.
Ooh, 4. I think. Or 14? It was a 4 in there.
He's a 4 on the wall.
Yeah!
Colby.
Dave Magadan.
Oh,
18?
10.
18.
18,
Yeah.
yeah, that's 18.
18,
for sure.
Mags?
Yeah.
He was 10
With the
at one
Marlins
point, I
for
think.
sure, he was 18.
I'll get you. I don't know how, but I'm going to get
Mike
you.
Lowell,
You started
17.
the segment.
No, he was
He was
not.
No, he was
19.
not. Yes.
19. And then Conine came back, and Conine, who was 19, had to be 18. Remember
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, I screwed that up.
Yeah.
And they played. That's right. At Joe Robbie Stadium. No, it was Pro Player. At the time.
It was Pro Player at the time.
It was Pro Player for
Will
like
always
several
be Pro
years
Player.
after it closed.
You started the segment asking us whether anyone cares that Ohtani to the Dodgers now being reported, even though Ohtani is threatening to make everyone a mystery team.
I don't think
and
it can
punish
be
them?
No,
reported.
Jason Hayward is signing with the Dodgers at this point. Last I checked DraftKings Sportsbook, the Dodgers were the odds-on favorite to get number 17, Shohei Ohtani, who won't be pitching, but he can do both pitching and hitting, both at a very high level. They were a slight favorite, but this whole mystery aspect to it where Ohtani and his reps will hold it against you if it leaks out means that there's probably some juicy underdogs that you can go after. There's some whispers out there, potentially the Giants.
It means he could never sign also.
You know who's a massive underdog?
Marlins?
Well, they're not even there. They're lumped in his field. He's not an angel. That's over and done with. They had one of the greatest. They had two of the greatest baseball players in the history of the game, certainly of this generation, on their team at the exact same time. Did jack with it, and Ohtani is just going to leave the Angels, and they're not going to get anything for it. That is crazy to me. It seems bad
Well,
because
it's
you guys
crazy.
like to talk about Ohtani, and I understand he's a
They
very
had a
good ball
chance
player.
to do it at the deadline. They decided not
They
to.
really
They
botched
thought this
that
was the
deadline.
year. I mean,
Yeah, and everyone that they traded for, they ended up releasing.
So I understand why the GM didn't want to do it, because what kind of return can you possibly get for Shohei Ohtani? But do you want to be the GM that just let Shohei Ohtani walk for nothing?
Well, but he's also now the GM that is openly saying, hey, Mike Trout's available. Like, it's going to take everything to get him, but he's available. So you lose them all anyways, but you got nothing in return.
How does that thing not work? I don't know. Because the owners spent so much money trying to make it work over there.
I hope someone told Ron Washington before he signed what was going on.
They've never had the pitching.
I mean, they don't have other good players.
Do they not have money for?
yeah, but they have two of the top 5 players.
I mean, the
But they don't have
Padres-
depth at either.
But they had Ohtani doing the pitching too. How? It's puzzling. They brought in Joe Madden. They had all the pieces to make it work.
How many more years of pitching are you going to get out of him, too? Because you got to think at some point he's just going to become a hitter.
well, he's not pitching this year. Mike said that earlier. He's
Right,
not
but
pitching
that's 'cause
this
of an
year.
injury.
Right.
I
He's
just mean
already
at some
29.
point he's going to stop pitching.
How much money is he going to get?
I think this injury has really clouded that. Like, we were looking at a $500 million player
Yeah.
before the
Didn't Juan
injury.
Soto famously turn down an offer
Like
that he'll
400
never
million,
get again?
Something like that.
You think he's gonna get
too
that?
certain.
Because he's also made available. He was at the Hurricanes basketball game the other day.
I think the best example of someone turning down money was like Ian Desmond turning down like $90 million or something, and then he had a bad year and ended up getting like 10 like single year deals.
Yeah.
Soto turned down $440 million.
You think he's gonna get that?
Reportedly. Yeah, he's only 25.
I don't really. I mean, I've seen it in flashes with Soto, but
I mean, no, you didn't see it in flashes. You saw it at the end when he played for the Nationals. You just didn't see it for the Padres last year.
he got
Baseball's
hot for
weird
like
that
1
way.
minute.
Yeah, no, he was he notoriously has been getting off to bad starts. Like his April and May weren't great, and then he was great at the end.
Right.
He's going to be a free agent after this season, so
The expectation is that he gets traded. But with Juan Soto, I mean, I've seen it as a national in flashes, and I could understand the projections that this guy's going to be the greatest thing. But since I saw him in a World Series that I barely paid attention to and recognize that he's good, I haven't seen the hype.
Well, that's something that happened to the Angels. After that World Series, they immediately gave $230 million to Anthony Rendon.
Right.
That's
But
one,
at the time, everyone was like, good hitter. That just didn't work out.
I think he was a World Series MVP.
I mean, you can kind of see the Rendon thing not working out for them. I mean, most of these baseball contracts don't end up working out, but it worked out for Ohtani, and it certainly worked out for Mike Trout, and yet they still can't win.
Tell me whether or not you think this can work out. We talk a lot around here for some reason about Adam Driver. He's got a bit of an Ichabod Crane thing working where he is lanky for Hollywood. He looks giant and spidery
Ichabod
compared to Go ahead and look that up.
What's his jersey number?
Look up Ichabod Crane and see what it is that comes up visually for you. So
I'm on
you
the
know,
Wikipedia and I still don't know what I'm looking at.
Are you having trouble with the spelling? You're looking at somebody who
Fictional
is
character?
spindly.
Is it a C or a K?
Fictional character.
Is there a silent H in Ichabod? We're not making that often.
Ever once.
Stugotz, we are making
We've
it.
made it once. And we didn't actually make it with a real human.
Michael,
Ichabod. Okay, my bad.
you thought it was Ichabod?
Ichabod.
Big shot Bob.
Michael Mann, Stugotz, is having, they are making a second Heat movie. For those of you who don't know, that is the first time that Pacino and De Niro were ever on the screen together at the same time. People were
It
clamoring
was so
for
exciting.
It.
Yes,
It was.
It was. It was.
That movie rocks.
It was a good movie.
Right.
And it's being remade now, but they're not going to remake it with De Niro playing the character.
Yeah.
Who was it, Macaulay?
It's not a remake. It's a weird prequel sequel because they tell the story of the central characters in the first Heat, which were Pacino, De Niro, and Val Kilmer. You hear about the Pacino past, the De Niro past, and where it leaves off with Val Kilmer's character. So it really stretches across timelines. But Adam Driver has been confirmed by Michael Mann to be rumored for the role of Macaulay.
The De Niro role, Stugotz, and Heat. I don't think it becomes the same movie or can be the same movie unless you're having De Niro do it. But De Niro's last 10 years have just been playing grandpa, a mean grandpa all the time.
De Niro's a great actor. I'm conceding that. But over the last few, you can say 25, 30 years, I haven't really seen like the whole thing with De Niro.
Thank you
was
for
good.
conceding it.
He was
though.
good in Flowers.
But
It's very
I thought he was
kind of
good in
you.
Killer
well, I don't want to
Flowers and
insult.
Killer
He was really good in that. This was a take that I guess I fleshed out before Flowers of the Killer Moon. But if you want to see an actor just totally nail perfectly understated, and maybe he seems understated by comparison because he shares a scene with Al Pacino, it goes freaking crazy in that movie. But Pacino is so good. The character Macaulay is so, it's the glue guy of the entire thing. It grounds it in reality. And Adam Driver, I could see him as a fit for like maybe the Pacino character because he is also very good at yelling. Oh, Driver, great yeller.
Pacino, it seemed in Heat, was very much trying to impress De Niro by shouting everything, including because she's got a great ass and scaring the hell out of Hank Azaria.
It's all he's got. I mean, it's his game, Pacino.
Yeah,
Screams.
it's almost as I'm almost done. It's a real page turner. I'm almost done with Heat 2. But it's almost
You
like
listening to it?
Pacino's performance just made the character Pacino. Like Kanan now it's just Pacino, and almost in Heat 2, man has to write the character crazier because of how crazy Pacino made that character.
Pacino basically was shouting everything after Son of a Woman. Put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. After Son of a Woman, did Pacino just scream everything?
It worked there.
It did, and it's worked since as well. But what is this? Because Adam Driver, I don't know this video clip that you have talked about since last week. I don't have any context for what the clip is. Is it press conference? What is Adam Driver doing?
So Adam Driver is working with Michael Mann, who in his own right is an insane filmmaker. I wish we could do a segment on the stories of Michael Mann shooting just Miami Vice alone. He is the method version of directing. He's just insane. But he worked with Adam Driver on this upcoming Ferrari picture, and they did a special screening now that the strikes are over. Adam Driver responded to one of the questions from the audience during a Q&A.
What do you think about crash scenes? That they looked pretty harsh, drastic, and I must say, cheesy for me. What do you think about them?
I don't know. Next question.
This is what NFL coaches have to do.
I think he might be method acting Macaulay already for Michael Mann.
I am giving NFL coaches carte blanche the same way Mike is willing to concede that De Niro is a good actor.
That's very nice of you.
I am willing to concede to NFL coaches. I will never get angry if you answer a question. F you. Next question.
The scene at
Impersonation.
He just keeps screaming everything.
That's all he does. I had coffee with Macaulay half an hour ago.
Did we talk to Azaria about how he experienced that Al Pacino scene where she's got a great, and you could see Pacino scanning. Do I say great big ass, or what do I say there? Like,
he got stuck. He got caught up in the air, and Azariah said his real reaction was to be scared of Pacino and just go, oh, and they just left it in. Because he was legitimately scared. But yes, Pacino got caught up in the air on that in the middle of his line.
It's gone viral. I still have my doubts about it, but I watched Once Upon a Time in Hollywood last night, and apparently the scene where Rick Dalton is playing with the flamethrower the first time, it's an actual like outtake from the film where he's like, "Can we do anything about the heat on a flamethrower?" And DiCaprio turns to his co-star, who addresses him as Rick. It's like, it's a flamethrower.
It's hot.
Stugotz just said something I never thought I would hear, which is, do we really need more heat?
Who's asking for it? I mean, honestly.
You didn't want to know what happened to Val Kilmer?
No.
I mean, or maybe you did in 1997, but
the separation is a bit much, right? I just never thought to myself after that movie, give me a second Heat.
God.
I had enough Heat.
I'm sure I never watched Heat when it happened. It was a double cassette. Couldn't get around to it.
Right.
And then I finally got around to it several years later. I'm like, holy, this is one of my favorite movies ever.
You are not the person that I ever have in any context saying, I don't want more heat. More general heat of any kind.
Dan, some things just need to be left alone. And Heat is one of those movies for me. There's no need to make a second one. Tango and Cash, it was great. Don't need a second one. Karate Kid, massive mistake making a second one. Didn't need it. The original was great.
I think they're blending universes. The Jackie Chan remake and the Ralph Macchio versions are coming together for another Karate Kid movie.
But what do you do with Val Kilmer? Like, you don't want to see Val Kilmer in another movie, do you?
No, Val Kilmer, clearly because of his condition, cannot be in another film. But his character, it picks up right where you leave off at the end of Heat, which in the book is probably my favorite of the storylines so far. I haven't finished it yet, but I'm almost there. Mm-hmm. Page Turner, like I said.
So you just have a different actor playing the same character, and we're pretending that it's. I don't like that.
Yeah. I mean, we do that with all the James Bonds, so
that's different.
We did that.
Totally different.
We did that with Don Cheadle. I guess War Machine's a different guy now.
There are certain movies where you need more. Rambo is one of them. You need more blood. Rocky is another one. You need him to win. He eventually wins.
When it's called First Blood, you're almost inviting.
Yeah, you know there's more.
Yeah, there's
more blood.
Be,
right. A second drop of blood.
There has to be more blood.
Did Chris say that this is something's got to give game tonight on Monday Night Football? Because that's usually when it's good teams.
Minnesota and Chicago?
It's almost like something has to give because someone has to do something.
This is gambling related where something's got to give.
It's usually something's got to give it a 3.5 line.
According to ESPN Stats and Info, there has never been a week during the Super Bowl era that favorites covered the spread in 13 games. This week, NFL favorites are 12-3 against the spread.
Wow.
So if Minnesota, who is favored by 3 tonight, and 75% across multiple sports books is on Minnesota -3. That looks like something's got to give, Dano.
Mm-hmm.
Mike Ryan over the weekend sent me a
Just moving on from
stat
okay.
I could not believe was so, which is that favorites in college football that were favored by double digits and in the top 10, this doesn't sound like it could be right to me. It sounded like a made-up stat. 79-2.
Yeah,
is what that a lack of upset
straight up. But I think you can make an argument that this is one of the worst seasons in college football, and I'll concede there's no such thing as a bad college football season. But the thing that makes college football so great is the upset. There was none. The only time a team got upset, it's when an ACC team was number 10.
Auburn and Washington State were so close to doing that this week, and so very close. Not covering. Mike's not saying covering. They're not 79-2 against the spread.
Straight upset.
But you just didn't have a double-digit underdog beating a top 10 team this year in the 81 times it happened, other than twice. And it wasn't a double-digit dog this weekend. Louisville and Kentucky. Kentucky was a single-digit dog, but I was surprised that it was that overwhelming because I'm generally expecting college kids on Saturdays to behave very often like college kids, to be inconsistent.
And there's more parity. programs have come out of the blue to be good quickly. There just hasn't. By the way, speaking about college football, because it's crazy that we have something that you can dub as the worst college football season ever when the sport was totally transformed in September by Coach Prime. I don't understand. I mean, I was told that college football's landscape had changed forever by Colorado, and it doesn't seem that way. Stugotz, let me ask you a question real quick.
Sure.
Which of Coach Prime's 6 straight losses to close the season would you dub the most transformative?
I don't know the 6 that he lost to. I stopped paying attention after 60 Minutes went out there.
Mike has enjoyed doing this over the last 2 months, and I have explained to him a number of different times that Deion Sanders won the season in the very first game.
Yeah, huge win over 5-win TCU.
But we kind of forgot about it, to Mike's point.
It was a massive win over 5-win TCU. And then he followed that up with a massive win over 5-win Nebraska. What bothered me so much in the moment, and I think Deion will...
That's a good year for Nebraska.
Well, they haven't made a bowl game in like 8 years.
Right.
So I guess.
Matt Rule getting it done.
I don't know how Matt Rule invented a way. If you see some of the quarterbacks they went against, he invented a way to not make a bowl game this year. But what bothered me so much about the Deion thing is that it was just all too much too soon, and it was too much from a bunch of people that had found their college football voice, that would never talk about college football, yet they felt qualified to dub, and I'm lumping Dan in on this because he's one of these Northeastern media types that are just making takes about Deion Sanders.
In the South?
Yeah. You were born in Jersey. I'm lumping you in. What were we doing then? If you look back at the takes.
They were ranked,
Look
though.
back at the takes, and I was the bad guy for saying, let's pump the brakes, guys. It's still a question as to whether or not he'll get over 3.5 wins. These wins are over not good teams. And I was laughed out, and I was called a hater, which I don't understand the ammunition I gave you. Yeah, I looked directly into the camera and said, I hate Deion Sanders and I hate Colorado fans. But other than that, I've been pretty fair when it comes to Deion Sanders. It's going to take a minute. You guys put him on this pedestal. Thankfully, you have the self-awareness to not knock the guy down. But you acted like in September.
Mike's a big it takes a minute guy with this Miami stuff.
It does take a minute. It does.
It took a minute to get to that take also.
It did. It took several months. But I was rational about it. Look, we all said, well, Sonny Dykes fixed it in a year. Sonny Dykes here too misses a bowl game. It does, traditionally, outside of, say, for a few outliers, it happened to Nick Saban. It takes time to build programs. You were all crowning his ass and doing broadcasts from Boulder, Colorado, like this guy was going to be running.
What happened.
They kept it close against USC. USC is garbage this year.
They're bad.
Garbage.
Right.
So what I'm saying is maybe next time this pops up, and it may be as soon as next year, slow the down.
But who are you yelling at?
I'm yelling at the established media.
Okay.
That thinks they can just venture into this seedy world of college football and talk about it with authority. You think Mike Wilbon knows what's going on in the Pac-12? He doesn't. He doesn't.
Pat McAfee was buying into the Colorado stuff.
Everybody was.
Everyone was.
Everybody is culpable. Dan is culpable.
Because it was
But I
fun.
took out 60 Minutes before the season started. You weren't with me then. Now you're with me?
Yeah, no, I understand how it's fun. It's great to make a 4-win team into a national title contender. Do you realize the prices
Wait a minute.
that you guys had for
Mike,
futures with
hold on a
Heisman?
second, Mike. At the time that we were talking about this, we said again and again they do not have the interior line play to be on the field with these major programs.
I said that.
It too,
I
Mike.
said that.
Mike, I said the
you
same
took my
thing.
take.
Mike,
I said that.
Mike.
Mike. I was assaulted for my beliefs and my convictions.
Mike.
I was made into a
Nobody
villain.
was arguing they had a great offensive line.
Mike, I was not arguing on behalf of them being a champion. I was arguing on behalf of them fixing what was one of the worst programs I'd ever seen and having a full stadium.
Okay. Yeah, they have a full stadium because the media machine made it. It's a 4-win team. You didn't fix jack shit. Like your whole argument was economical. Indiana had $20 million to pay their coach to not coach anymore.
What?
Because they're in the Big Ten. Everybody makes money. If
so much
making
you get
money is a
fired for
barometer.
that.
The barometer for success is, get this, in big breaking news, success. He hasn't had it yet.
No, it is not. In the current age of college football, it is relevancy. It is not success. It's are you
Right.
relevant?
Okay, well, I'll check back. It's November. Is Deion Sanders relevant? Because he just lost 2 4-star commits.
He
in
lost
the
that
last week.
quarterback, right? Yeah.
We will
Is
see
he
how
relevant?
we will see how relevant he is when his son's not the quarterback, because his son and Travis Hunter were their best players.
His DC just quit on him,
Right.
which is fine. His DC wasn't great.
But Dan, you have
His
to give
big
him
move was giving Pat Shurmur play calling duties.
Right.
On an offense that was actually working.
You have to give them this, though. Like Colorado State, game day going out there, perhaps we should have thought about that before we did it.
You
right?
guys were crowning him after a
Disagree.
1-point
But it
win
was
against
fun.
Colorado.
Disagree. It
No,
was
but,
fun.
Yeah, for the week it was great. It was fun. There was 2 different
It's all
networks that were
content,
out
man.
there.
This is all
Yeah.
that matters is content.
But
like
I don't-
Bad teams.
No.
but like-
It's all fun and games, and it's all content until you did that to Colorado.
But who
you
ca-
gassed them up. You gassed them up, and you were insulting
I
to
take
everybody.
my hat off when I shake someone's hand.
Yeah, you
Remember that?
guys gassed them up, and they were who they improved, and you've made them feel bad about their season. Shame on you.
But those weeks they were the biggest team.
They
I
were
mean,
relevant.
the media
No,
made it that way.
yes.
But yeah, that was
They
the
beat
fun thing at the
TCU.
moment. But yeah, but College Game Day goes to try to capture the fun thing at the moment each week, and
Right.
that was the fun thing at the moment.
They
that
were at
week.
James Madison a couple
and
of weeks
by the
ago.
way,
they were
like-
at Duke earlier in the season,
but-
which feels ridiculous in hindsight.
But they went there knowing, we need to get this out of the way now, because I think that they
did
knew.
say they were like, look, we won't be back here. It's now or never.
And then they went right back. I mean, Fox was at the Colorado game for 3 consecutive weeks.
They had the game, though.
They
Mike.
fed the monster.
You got juice.
Mike is so mad that,
They were right those 3 weeks, man.
that Game Day and Fox aren't in the parking lot outside of Hard Rock Stadium.